Hello there, team. Hey, this is Joe Azu here. Hey, this quick video is going to talk about a few things in Crimson 3.2 to set up such that you can see the web page via a remote from anywhere, and also the ability to download to the product from anywhere. Now, the default settings in Crimson are that the web page could either be on port 443 or port 80, and the download port by default is 789. So a couple places here that I'll show you that is if I go over here to the web page part, normally by default it is set up as HTTPS and a 443 here. I typically like to use the TCP, and normally you'll have a port 80 at this field right here. But in my case, I'm going to use port 91 for this example because other devices on that network might also use port 80. And so since we're going to do what's called port forwarding rules, you might want to make that a different address. So I'm going to put my web page is going to show up on port 91. And then I want to download to this unit as well. So if I go over here to the left to device configuration, by the way, you'll want to write down that number because you need to open up that port and do port forwarding rules to that particular number there. And then if I go over here to device configuration, a couple things in here I need to address. First off, the Ethernet port that's connected to the local network there at the office or at the plant or something, you either have two options. You can do a configure via DHCP, which is what I do with all of my HMIs that are at my home office, and therefore they get an IP address from the router there at the home office. If you have this set up as manual configuration, then you're going to want to make sure that you put in the IP address of your router as the gateway so that it knows how to get out to the outside world. By me doing this configure DHCP, it's all taken care of there, and I run with that. The problem you might have is that you won't know what the IP address is of that unit. In that case, you'll just put on a display page. Let me show that real quick. If I go over here to the left, display pages, if I click on my main page here, uh, if you go to the lower right-hand corner of Crimson, click on System, expand the functions tree, and then if you slide down and expand the network tree, there's a function here, team, called getNetIP. This function right here, getNetIP. And what you'll do is just drag that out on the display page anywhere. And I'll make it a little bigger because it's going to have a bunch of numbers in it. If you double click on that, by default, it's going to use port 0. 0 and 1 are the same. If you have a product with multiple Ethernet ports, number 2 would be the next one, and so forth. So in this case, I've got it set to 0, but I could easily make this number 1. It's the same. So I'll put number 1, and then and these HMIs also have multiple ports. So you can see here I have another one on the screen already, and I already have chat to 1, but that's all right. Anyway, so that part, let me go back to device configuration. The other part of this is what port are you going to download to? So over in device configuration, if I slide down a little bit, there's a section called download here. And if you click on the network tab, the default address right here, typically for most Redline products, the default port, not address, but port number is 789. Now, because I have a whole bunch of different HMIs connected to my office network, I have to set up different port numbers so that when I go to download to that unit, it goes to that appropriate HMI. So in this case, you see that I've got that changed to 791. I've got other ones at other port numbers, but 791. So in this case, on my router at my office, I have two port forward rules set up. One of them will go to port 91, which is what's this guy right here, and the other one will go to port number 791. So I've taken the local settings for that, and I've done port forwarding rules to those two ports. I've only opened up those two ports, and with port forwarding, I'm directing them to the IP address locally that would be on that particular unit. So that is set up there. And then if I want to download to this unit, if I want to download to it, I'm going to go to the link pull down and go down to options. And here's the next caveat to this: link and options. And right here, I'm going to put in the public IP address of the router that might happen to be at that your office or so forth. And if you don't know what your IP address is, you can always just open up Google or something and type in what's my IP address, and that'll give you the IP address of the router at your office or at your plant or wherever you are there. Now, here's the catch though, because I want this to go to a specific product there, I put in the same port forwarding rules that I used in the download here, but you do that via a colon and then that port number. See, there's a colon right here, it's real small, but a colon. Can I make that bigger? Let me look here. Yeah, I can zoom in. So you can see here, team, that there's a colon and then that port number. So today, this is the public IP address of the router at my office. So I'm kind of exposing things here, but oh well. Anyway, if I click the OK button, and now if I want to download to this unit, well, before I download, let me go open up my web page here. So if you notice something here, team, on this thing, I put that same number in here, but I want to go to that specific HMI. So I put a colon number 91, and that brings up the web page for that particular screen. So here it is right here running. It's working fine. So if I go back to here, let's say I want to download to that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the Shazam button here. And it's going to download to that unit. It should have went out there. And if I go back to the web page right here, go to remote view, look, it has that IP address here that was not there earlier. I should have showed that to you, but now it is there, and that's locally running on. So the two rules here is that you have to set up the port forwarding rules for your web page, and you need to do the port forwarding rule for your download port number. So like I said, these are the default, but in my case here, I've got my web page is set to 91, and my download is set to 791. The other thing about this that's kind of pretty cool is if I open a new build of Crimson, go do that real quick here, team. So if I open up a new build of Crimson to test this, and let's say I want to siphon or extract that program out of that particular screen, if I go to the link pull down and go down here to options, there's the number. It kept it for some odd reason, but it's weird. But there's the number and there's the port number. So if I click, and if you want to write that down, feel free to test it on your own. You can write that down, 47.189.5.231, and then a colon 791. If I click OK and then do a link extract, it's going to go out to that unit and extract that program. And now I might call this one G09_91. I'll just call it test for today. And I'll say yes. I'll say yes to this. So now it has everything, and now I have that complete database running here. So, and that'll save in that program. So if I go to save it, it'll keep those download settings in that database, which is pretty nice. Anyway, I'm not gonna do that. The other thing here is normally you could do port forwarding rules on an app. I'm actually using a new, this router is what's at my home office, and that stinking router does not have a PC app like the old one did. And I have a video on my website here for my old FiOS router, but the new one doesn't. So I had to set everything up with this on my phone, which is interesting, but it really worked great. Actually, I can set up on my phone. I can check on it anywhere from my phone, which is pretty cool with the new one. But the old one, I could do it on the PC, and the new guy doesn't allow that. But anyway, there's the two caveats to the port forwarding for you to allow remote access to your web page on Crimson 3.2, and the download port settings in 3.2 are a little bit different. They are, like I said, over here in device configuration. Slide down in the download section, click here, and there's the port number by default. Anyway, that is just a quick video on some of those settings. Hey, thanks a lot, folks. Let me know if you have any questions. See you later.